Hey guys, it's AJ here with another video. With Game of the Year 2025 coming up, I thought I'd discuss the games that I believe should have won Game of the Year from 2020 all the way to this year. I hope you enjoy. So 2020 is a really hard one. Hades, Ghost of Tsushima, and Doom Eternal would be my top 3 picks, and either one would be deserving of being Game of the Year 2020. If I had to pick though, I'd probably go with Ghost of Tsushima. Because in my opinion, for starters, it had the best story out of the 3. However, what really became challenging was judging the gameplay between these 3. It's quite hard to compare them because they are such different games and they all do what they set out to do really well in terms of gameplay. However, personally, I'd still go with Ghost of Tsushima for gameplay, but it's more so of a personal thing. Parry heavy style of combat with Ghost of Tsushima resonates with me more. The combat felt smooth and satisfying, and lethal mode just further improves a very great combat system. Lethal mode makes the combat so much more intense, so much more satisfying, and really makes you understand why Jin Sakai had to resort to, and makes you realize why Jin Sakai had to use less conventional methods of fighting and had to abandon his code of honor. Personally as well, I believe lethal mode is one of the best hard modes in all of gaming. Now, generally, I'm not someone that cares about graphics, but Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Now, compared to 2020, 2021 was a weaker year for gaming, in my opinion. Now, the pick I'd go for, I don't even think was nominated, but I'd have to go with Returnal. Now, this was a PS5 exclusive that did get less attention overall, and it's a third-person roguelite shooter. And this was a game I went in blindly, and I was just amazed. The combat feels fun but challenging, gunplay is amazing, and each weapon feels unique. And exploring each biome felt satisfying. It is another game that looked so good. It is a shame that it didn't get more attention, but I do understand why. Because roguelites are a bit more niche. They aren't something that appeals to average audiences. And it is a PS5 exclusive, so there were many that wouldn't have been able to play it. Now, 2022 was a strong year for gaming. Now, my pick may be controversial because Elden Ring came out in 2022 and was loved by many. However, it isn't my game of the year. It is an amazing game, but for game of the year for me, 2022, I'd go with Sifu. Now, Sifu overall is one of my favorite games of all time. It has one of the best combat systems in all of gaming. It's heavily inspired by Sekiro, with the parry-focused combat and a posture bar for you and your enemies. Whether you're fighting a group of thugs or fighting a boss, the combat feels amazing. Every area that you have to go in feels unique and provides you with a unique set of challenges. You also have a wide variety of moves, and you can build upon this by unlocking more moves. And the aging system in Sifu is innovative. I don't think I've seen that in any other game. Sifu is the perfect game if you want to feel like the main character of a martial arts movie. 2023 was also a very good year for gaming. Now, I can't put Baldur's Gate 3 as my game of the year because I never actually played it, but from what I've heard about it, is very much deserving of this spot. So my personal pick would go to Armored Core 6. Now, I know this one wasn't nominated, but I do believe it was deserving of at least a nomination. Now, I really enjoyed Armored Core 6's story, and the gameplay was amazing too. You have so many options for customizing your mech, from the different body parts to the weapons. You have endless options of how to choose to build your mech. The combat's really fast-paced, really engaging, and also feels very unique. I know I'm saying unique a lot, but I believe for Game of the Year, I want something that feels unique. Now, this game in particular is how I'd imagine an Iron Man game to play. I do want to give an honourable mention to Jedi Survivor, because it was also one of my favourite games of 2023. Only reason I wouldn't put it as Game of the Year is because it initially released in a terrible state. And I believe that a game shouldn't be eligible if it doesn't release at a good state, especially with the price we have to pay for games. I did also really enjoy Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom, but both of them games are more so just built upon the games that came before. They do feel very similar to Spider-Man 1 and Breath of the Wild. 2024 I also found to be a weak year of gaming. And you can tell it was a weak year when a DLC was eligible for Game of the Year. If it were up to me, 2024 Game of the Year would have gone to Nine Souls, which also wasn't nominated. To be honest, it came out quite late, so I don't even know if it would have been eligible. It came out in late November, I believe. But this is my personal pick. This is another game with a heavy parry-based combat. I love those, if you couldn't tell already. This game was inspired by both Hollow Knight and Sekiro, so you can tell it's good. But it's also unique enough to not feel like a copy of either game. Now, despite being inspired by Sekiro, with heavy parry-based combat, instead of having a structure meter, parrying builds up charges for a talisman, and you can attach this talisman for extra damage. You can either have the choice between one that attaches to them and you can carry on moving, or one that you can charge up for more damage but at the cost of more charges. Nine Souls also did have a really good story and really engaging boss battles. Personally, Lady Ethereal is one of my favourite boss battles of all time. Now, this was a very strong year for gaming, contrary to 2024. It comes as no surprise, but I'd go with Expedition 33. Expedition 33 was revolutionary. Usually I'm not a fan of turn-based games, but this is one of the few exceptions. It managed to perfectly combine Souls-like elements, such as campfires, difficult bosses, and parrying or dodging, and turn-based combat. This game felt so unique, had an amazing story that kept you engaged throughout, and also looks beautiful. If you haven't tried this game, even if you're not into turn-based combat, it is so good. I do want to give an honourable mention to Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Ghost of Yotei. Only reason I wouldn't put any of these three is because although they are very good, they do just feel a bit less unique than Expedition 33 because they are going to feel a lot like their prequels, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because the three of them had amazing prequels. And I do believe any of those three could have won if it wasn't for Expedition 33. So those are my personal picks for Game of the Year from 2020 to 2025. Let me know in the comments what your picks would be. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time.